To Generation Cowboys and Sports Talk. My dad, my partner, my co-host, Cowboy Joe 64.
I am your father.
Just to get the Cowboys 2 good games to hopefully understand that they need to go receiver and go high with this next pick.
Yeah, that's really what this is gonna be about. All right, let's see. All right, there you go. You live. Yeah, I was
You
just gonna
live?
go. Yeah, I was just gonna go live and then post the link in the chat so you could get it because I see that he sent you the wrong link. But we good. We
Nah, I'm
actually
here. I'm here.
okay. Cool. So we live now. So you're looking live at Generation and Generation Cowboys and Sports Talk. I'm the host, DJ. I tell you what, joined with my dad and one of our favorite podcasters, our special guest, BigGameJames. Welcome to the show and welcome in the building. How you feeling today?
I appreciate y'all. Number one, I appreciate y'all. Number one, I love your tweets on Twitter. You go absolutely ballistic on Twitter, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah,
appreciate how y'all go hard on Twitter and really talk the real about the Cowboys. And I'm really appreciating being talk some football with y'all.
already.
Man, we appreciate you coming on. So most of the time the tweeting is me. So that's the
Yeah,
OG
yeah,
over
I
here.
know you be going crazy.
So I'm the OG of the show, of course. The OG sent you the wrong link. So but man, we'll appreciate you being on with us. And you
Mm-hmm.
so big games. So tell us, how did you get started in the content creation game? How long you been doing this, and how did you get started?
I got started basically. I went to media school. Um, I had always been involved in sports. I played football, played basketball. I coached a lot of youth football, a lot of youth basketball. My kids played. I coached them. So I have basically been coaching for like 15 years. So I've always been involved in sports ever since I was young. So I always wanted to be around it. Um, and then a couple of my friends was like, "Dog, you're always doing talking about sports. Go try to do something with it." That's what really happened. And then I happened to see that they had a media school out here. And I really, I was older and I was a little intimidated, if we being real, because I wasn't a computer person or anything like that. But I knew sports. And when I went to the media school, I just did a visit. They told me to get on the mic. I had to announce a game. And when I did it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so from that point, I enrolled in media school, graduated there after 10 months. And then I was doing a lot of high school, to be very honest. I didn't come into the Cowboys. I was not trying to do anything Cowboys when I came into this. I was more in the high school range because I know a lot of kids out here. I've coached a lot of young athletes out here, a lot of good players out here. So I really wanted to have a door open for the young athletes to have a basically a platform to be able to open door for recruiting, things of that nature. Tell the good side about the athletes out there. So that's what I was really trying to do, and that's what I was involved in. I had a high school show with a friend of mine, and we were covering high school football games, high school basketball, interviewing.
Yeah.
I think we lost him for
No,
a minute.
he just froze for a second. He should be back. But that is awesome though to hear.
All that.
Mm-hmm.
So hit me up one day. We had been cool the whole time, right? Because we were both Cowboys fans, so we were doing shows together anyway. But after we graduated, like the first of the year, he was like, "Hey man, I want to do a Cowboy show." He's like, "You trying to do that?" And I'm like, "I don't care. Let's do it." You know what I'm saying? And then we did it. We kind of just hit the ground running because he was really good with that. With the backgrounds, he was just good on the behind the scenes. The digital side. I wasn't really that. You know what I mean? I could really just do the mic. So we kind of just yin and yang. You know what I mean? It was just like I'm the DJ. I mean, you the DJ, I'm the rapper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we hit the ground running. And at that time, wasn't really nobody doing a lot of Cowboys content since like Mark Holmes, Law Nation. That's who I was really trying to. I showed a lot of Law Nations because that's what I was really seeing because I didn't wasn't really with YouTube and didn't really know the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to really learn it. So I really just kind of watched them and kind of understood how to do it. and I just had a passion for the Cowboys, and just had a passion to really try to go hard with the Cowboys. And after that, really kind of opened doors from there.
So did you spend any time in Texas?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I mean, I'm part Ohio, I'm part Texas. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm from Texas. A lot of my family is in Texas right now. I got a lot of family out here in Ohio, so I'm just both sides of with it. So I've definitely been back there since I've been doing shows, and my whole family pretty much is Cowboys. You know what I mean? That's all we grew up on. My father who passed away, uh, that's how I know about the Cowboys. A
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
dog. I was like literally born on a Cowboys game. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally was born on a Cowboys game. My dad, the funny story is real quick. My dad did not want to come to the hospital because he did not want to miss this game. He was like, just call me and tell me what it is. And my mom was like, nah,
Wow.
you coming to the hospital. So they when he came to the hospital, they was like, Mr. Yates, we assure you, you can watch the game. There's like a TV in here, so you can watch the game. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, all right, all right. So he came in there and sat in there. He was watching the game, watching the bird, watching the game. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing else but Cowboys.
That's cool right there. That is a funny story. That's live. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I want to say shout out to your son too, because I've been following you for a long time. You know what I mean? And so
Appreciate you.
I always see you post about your son. I always see you post about your little league, your friends or your like the athletes that you coached that grew up and that's going to college and going to the NFL. So I've been following you for a long time. So I want to say shout out to your son because I always would see that you would always be shouting out your
Appreciate
son
that.
and because me and my dad, like my dad started a little league. My dad and my uncles, they started a little league team in Pop Warner here locally too.
Hmm.
About like probably I don't know how long ago was that.
Yeah, we're
Probably
coming up on the 25th anniversary now.
25th anniversary of
That's that's a beautiful thing.
the Oak Cliff Titans. So we got a lot of similarity. So when I followed you, I think I got you from Mark Holmes or Law Nation, one of
Hmm.
them. But it's been a while.
Hmm.
Like it's been a while. It's been a long time. It's been a lot of years. So we've been checking you out for a long time, and we just like I said, we just excited to finally do some content with you. It's kind of we've been wanting to do this for a long time, so we really appreciate you coming on and joining.
Yeah, so a
Well, like
little
I
little,
said,
little bit about
go ahead, go
myself,
ahead.
big game.
Uh
So
huh.
I'm
Uh huh.
born and raised in Dallas, grew up in Oak Cliff. So my first experience with the Cowboys, I was 6 years old. I went to a game with my dad at the Cotton Bowl to see Bob Hayes. So that's how long I've been around. And of course, went to a lot of the
You deep
games in
in
the
it.
'90s. Yeah, went to a lot of the games in the '90s. Saw frontline, what good football looks like. And then, my son, he's a fourth generation Cowboy fan. I'm third generation. So he talked me into getting into the content creating after I kind of watched you on with Boss Cowboy Sports, the final word, and of course, Mark Holmes. I didn't really know anything about any of you guys until my son started talking about it, and he wanted to start his channel. And at first, I didn't want to do it because I don't really
Hmm.
like being on camera, none of that. So I'm kind of like a just behind the scenes laid back guy. So the technology part, I told him, I said, we gonna do it. We gonna do it right. We gonna do it the honest way. We gonna do it with some integrity. And I got I come from a corporate background. I've been a project manager and all that. And so when I do things, I like to do it all the way and do it right. And so that's why I wanted to try to connect with yourself, Boss Cowboy, because you guys really like you're doing it the right way. You're doing it with integrity. You dug it out of the dirt. And then the other thing is, I just enjoy watching you guys. It's really a good time watching you guys and listen to you guys talk about the team. So that's kind of where we are. So we just getting started, trying to reach out to different people. Certainly, you one of the people that if I was building a Mount Rushmore of content creators, you would definitely be up there. So
No, for sure. And I always tell them because like I said, this is probably a few years ago, 3 years ago or so. But I'm like, I watch these guys. I watch Big Game James every single day. I'm like every time he posts something, I watch it every single
I
show.
mm-hmm,
appreciate that.
mm-hmm.
Mark Holmes the same way. That was what I was doing. Like literally, I wake up in the morning and I just that's what I was doing. That was my so I felt like I knew y'all already. Because I'm watching y'all 24/7. I know everything about y'all that y'all put on YouTube. I watch it every day.
Hmm.
So, me and my dad, that's all we talk about is, Cowboys. That's literally what we do. That's what we talk about 24/7. So it's just like, we can be having these conversations, but on camera, and that's what this is. So
Right.
that's we might as well we might as well do the channel cause we talk about it 24/7 instead of us spending
Right.
time on the phone. We might as well put it
Right.
on the internet because it's like-minded people out here that kind of think like we think, and like
Mm-hmm.
Big Game James, you one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
just bounce ideas off each other. So like I said, this is a big deal. I had some questions I wanted to ask you in particular. I'm trying to get back to them.
Okay.
Um, I think it was now. I wanted to know your perspective of what kind of offense does Shoddy run, because we know Eberflus runs like a 4-2-5, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what he ran in Chicago. So we can kind of I know he's gonna change it up a little bit. I'm sure. I hope so. But what about Shoddy though? What kind of offense do you think he's gonna run per se?
I mean, I personally think when you look at how they got Clayton Adams, he's the kind of guy that he likes to get his guys that are kind of athletic, be on the move, to be able to do a little more of the zone blocking. I think there's a lot of play action. I think that's what that game really is. His game is really based on that. I think that's why they really want to emphasize the run game, and that's why they had the run game over there. If you look at Seattle, they did a lot of play action over there to really open up for Russell Wilson to really get out and be able to get his receivers going, but that run game really established that so his quarterback could be easy and to be able to come into his reads. I don't think it's the really the West Coast type where it's all predicated on the quarterback and the players making all the plays where okay, you have to make this play. I think it's going to be more a run dominated scheme, and I think it's going to be heavy play action, and I think that's where they're going to try to open up and go deep. But I think it's to be a lot of play action. When I see it, I think it's going to be a over the middle type game, a
Hmm.
short passing game. I don't see it being, in my opinion, I don't know if it's going to be explosive per se. If we're talking about the four receiver sets and seeing all that, I think it's going to be more predicated on we're going to run the game and run you into the ground and then get you to thinking that that's what it's going to be. And then we're going to base other type of formations out of that.
I like that. I like that idea because that would work. But we need that would work. I think that's how we would, because I think that's how we would solve our red zone issues, just like that, by beating them down, getting down to the field. I mean, getting downfield by just pounding it. And I know he likes pin and pull type of plays, the trap kind of plays, the counter kind of plays, and they always work. So when we talk about Clayton Adams, like Clayton Adams was at Arizona last year, right? And
Hmm.
so he's the
Hmm.
one that had like his running scheme in Arizona was like pin, pull, counter. So like you said, he liked his guys to get athletic and move around. And I know we've all seen Tyler Smith running downfield, just looking like Larry Allen or somebody. And we've also seen
Right.
now we didn't see what's our Cooper Beebe, but in college, that's what he was in college. So in college, he was just like he would be 5-10 yards down the field, just mowing people over. So we didn't really see that a lot last year. But then again, last year we really didn't have no running game, but until the end of the year. So that's
Well, I
good.
think that's what, in my opinion, I don't try to cut you off, but I think that's what the difference is. I think this Clayton Adams is going to bring more. You have to have more athleticism. I think, like I said, they want to get out on the outside, get their running backs on the move where they can do the one cut and cut back into the line of scrimmage where there's going to be holes. And you can really see Cooper Beebe, Tyler Smith. I think Guyton, if he continues to get stronger, I think that was one of his biggest problems. He wasn't strong last year, and I think when you watch him, he was getting overpowered a lot of times. That's why he was grabbing and holding
Mhm,
because he just didn't have the power. I
mhm.
think when he continues to get stronger, it's going to help. Hopefully, Terrence Steele, Clayton Adams will be able to help Terrence Steele because he's always been good in the run game. His problem has been pass pro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not that guy that's really the guy that's going to really protect. He has that problem. So that's what I wonder about. But when I see the guys that they're trying to get bigger guys to really have a more physical type game. And I
Mhm,
think when you watch Dak Prescott, in my opinion, when I watch Dak, I don't think he's better when he's throwing 40 times a game, 42
mhm.
times a game. I
Right.
don't care. Dak can throw 25 times a game. He doesn't have to prove anything any longer. Not to
No.
me, because I
Right.
feel like we were in that little era where Dak had to prove he was a passing quarterback. That's why he was throwing for 4,900 yards. Like it was like that had to be proven. That don't got to be proven now. He just got to win these games. So I'm cool with Dak throwing him 25, 30, right around that range. That's when he's the best at. And where does that happen? You have that run game. So that's why I feel like the run game's got to be addressed, continued in the draft. It's his best friend. He even said it is. And I think that's where you can really, and we need physicality. When's the last time Dallas had a physical offense? Was back in, the Romo days when they had the Great Wall of China, as they said. But when was Dallas really good? When they had a physical offensive line, when we
Yep.
really could run the ball and we really could do different things out of that. Because once you can run the ball, you can change how you want to play the game in passing. Because now they're coming up to the line of scrimmage. Now you can use your guys with if you draft a fast receiver, a CD land, they become even better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw your video last week when you talked about you believe Dak is where Romo was. So that was
Mm-hmm.
a real good
Mm,
video. And I
the
want to
Black
kind of
Tony Romo.
get a Black
Yeah.
Tony Romo. So I kind of want to piggyback on that myself. I'm kind of go back a little bit further. I'm going to talk about John Elway. You remember Big Game? John Elway went to 3 Super Bowls. He couldn't win. I think he was
Hmm.
0-3. And then they
Hmm.
got to a point to where, he was still a Hall of Fame quarterback, but there was a lot of discussions about him being able to win. And then, they went and drafted Terrell Davis. They brought Shanahan in. I think Shannon Sharp was there. They got a couple of good receivers. I think Christian McCaffrey's dad, Ed McCaffrey, was one of the receivers. And they had
Hmm.
a good defense on the other side. Bill Romanowski came in from the 49ers. They got a physical defense. And so at that point, John Elway, he wasn't the focal point. He
Mm-hmm.
would still do John Elway things, but the team around him was just a lot better. And that's kind of where I'm hoping that this thing is going with Dak. Do you kind of see it developing that way?
That's what I hope it will develop where you don't have to sit there and rely on Dak. I know you pay these guys all that money, and not the urge is because you pay these guys money. That's what I think is also when you pay these guys the kind of money that they're paying them, everybody's like, well, they got to be throwing 35, 40 times a game because they
Mm-hmm.
got to earn their money. No, you got to win these games. That's the whole thing about it, winning Super Bowls. It ain't about it just getting numbers. It's about getting to these playoffs and winning championship games and getting to the Super Bowl. That's what it's really about. Nobody cares about that other stuff. If you got a
Mm-hmm.
guy who don't have crazy numbers, but he got 3 rings, what you worried about? You gonna say, okay, say all that, but I got rings. That's
Mm-hmm.
what it is to me in this type of his career as well. He's 30 years old, about to be 31. There, you need to have better players around him. Offensive line, receivers, tight ends. You have to have all that about him. We've already seen what he can do
Mm-hmm.
everything else around him to make the game even easier for him. Because when you watch these other teams, they get them players to make the game easier for their quarterback. They know the quarterback can play, but this makes the game easier for them where they can come to the line of scrimmage and do things. Why continue to make it harder for them by you getting these average players and putting it all on their shoulders? Because at the end of the day, you're going to make mistakes. I don't care how good you are. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes when you have certain type of players on your team that are not elite players. Mistakes will happen because you'll be thinking like, okay, this player is going to be here, but if he is not elite, he's probably not going to be there. You understand? And
Right.
that comes; those warts will show in the worst times. That's what I be
Mm-hmm.
saying. That's why you got to get those type of players. Even when we were talking about adding the Keenan Allen and then still getting a dog, like get him dogs to make the
Mm-hmm.
game easier for him because this we're at this point in his career. He ain't 22. He's 31. You gotta get things to make the game easier and get them type of players and stop getting them averaging players and saying, okay, well let's see if this works. No, you gotta get him proven players.
Mm-hmm. Stop getting him players that you want him to make better. No, they need to be already
Right.
good. It's just like, I
You ain't give
always
him
get
proven players.
right. I always have the argument with people, not necessarily the argument, but the debate. Where every time someone brings up the quarterback won this and the quarterback won that, and I be thinking to myself, like, it's not always the quarterback does not shoulder everything on the team. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, last year in Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts is not as good as Patrick Mahomes. He's just not. That's just not who he is. But in the Super Bowl, his team was better because he had better players around him, like Saquon and like uh their receiving core, their receivers. So it's just like it comes. The older I get, the more I realize that it comes from not only the players, but it comes from the front office. It comes from the GM, from the scouts to everybody. The draft, everything plays a part in it because it's just like you can have a great quarterback, but if he is surrounded by average players, then it's not gonna really mean anything when it comes down to it. Because, like you said, he's gonna make mistakes, and so if those mistakes come at an inopportune time, like against the 49ers in the playoffs, then you're gonna have the same result. And we have had the same result for 30 years now. We haven't won the second playoff game. And that's it's but you can substitute in different quarterbacks from that. We've been having those we've been having that kind of success with Romo, and he was a good quarterback, just like Dak. Dak was runner up for MVP last year, but we still lost in the first round, and it's not because of you can say, oh, because of Dak didn't do this or Dak didn't do that, but at the same time, it's just like you got to have it on both sides of the ball. You got to have it. The players around him got to be good, even the coaches. Because like when we lost against Green Bay, well, it's hard to win against Green Bay when you. It's hard for Dak to perform when you're down 27-0 because the defense is just letting Green Bay just run all over you. They scoring every time they get the ball. So it's just like, it has to be complementary football, like Mike McCarthy used to say. So I am pro Dak. I feel like Dak is good enough to get us over the hump. But I feel like the players around him need to be better too. We need to get dogs, like you said. We got to get Keenan Allen, and then we got to add Ted. We got to get Keenan Allen, and then we got to get or Marion Hampton, or we got to get dogs. I'm team. Me and my dad, we're team weapons. So I want weapons, And then like one thing I like about the coaching staff that I noticed is this coaching staff is not passive. They're not passive. They're aggressive guys. They're like they want to be fit. They keep saying they want to play physical brand of football, and so that's what I want to see. Because it's like you said, when was the last time that we had a dominant physical football team? And that was when we had the Great Wall, like you said, and we were a good team. But we were a good team, but what was unique about that team was that we had the best offensive line in the league. That was what was unique. And that to me, that's what drove the success. It's just the fact that we have the best offensive line in the league. So no matter what, we can get off the ball and we can make things happen. It's just like the Philadelphia Eagles. They had the best offensive line in the league last year, I think. And what's something that we could not that nobody could stop is the tush push. And why is that? It's because their offensive line is dominant. It's just something that you cannot stop no matter what, because they're dominant in the trenches. And they did that in the draft. They did that in free agency. And then, they go out and they add the cherry on the top by getting someone like Saquon that can. You got one of the best running backs in the league with the best offensive line in the league. You go far. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to do everything. He can have a bad game. You know why? Because they can just hand the ball off to Saquon. He can have a okay game. Saquon, you don't have to have the best quarterback to win. That's my point. You don't have to have the best quarterback to win.
Yeah, I agree.
So I wanted to go back to and get your input on Tyler Guyton. So when we drafted Tyler Guyton, Big James, uh, it just seems like to me he wasn't the prototypical Cowboys offensive lineman. To me, he looked more like a tight end or a defensive end. So does he have the right set of skills that we're looking for to be one of those legendary Cowboy linemen? What does he need to do to get better? Because he just doesn't look like a tackle to me.
I mean, in my opinion, I think dedication. I hope he's just dedicated to his craft. I saw the enthusiasm when he came in. And he said, I don't have no problem switching from right tackle to left tackle, but I was worried about that. I said it numerous times on the shows that I didn't think he was. I thought he had the ability, but he was going to get worked in his first year, and he did. I just feel like I hope he just has the dedication because I feel like the skill set is there, and you don't have. I will agree with you that he is built like a tight end the way he looks, but I think he played tight end when he was like in high school,
Mm-hmm.
as well. But I feel like you playing tight end and switching to an offensive tackle that helps you be with your footwork. That's where you can really manipulate defensive linemen because you play the tight end position. So your footwork should be already good because you're coming off the line of scrimmage. So I do feel like that's an advantage. I feel like in his what he needs to do is he needs to dedicate to his craft. He needs to dedicate to getting stronger. He needs to
Mm-hmm.
dedicate to being better because I saw good traits when he was playing at Oklahoma. You didn't you I just feel like we should already assume that this first year he was gonna get his butt kicked. You're
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
going from right tackle to left tackle, and you never played it, and you're going into the NFL. You're getting
Mm-hmm.
your butt kicked. I don't know what we thought he was going to come in and just be great. And that was
Oh.
you saw Tyler Smith and and Tyron Smith when he went to the right to the left, he struggled.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so what do you think? Every year you're gonna have give up like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sacks. They're gonna struggle, and if you never
Mm-hmm.
played that position, you go to the NFL, there's gonna be a struggle. My opinion, Big Dog, is he's got to get in that weight room. He's got to get with these guys, the Duke Mayweathers. He's got to continue to work on his craft. Kind of like Brock Hoffman. When I see Brock Hoffman, I see ultimate dedication. I see maybe don't have the skill set of some of these top guys, but he
Mm-hmm.
has the dedication. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have the dedication, I feel like that's going to help you. Now, I'm still going to draft somebody. I don't trust that because there's a reason why you didn't get drafted. But I love how you go about your business. But I still got to
Mm-hmm.
get somebody else, you know what I'm saying, to push you, whatever, and see what happens with that. You got to always have some competition. But I'll need Tyler Guyton to have the mindset of the Brock Hoffman. Because if he has the Brock Hoffman mindset, I feel like we'll be in good hands. If he doesn't, I feel like we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the draft, and we're not gonna hold you on too long. So let's talk about the draft a little bit, in particular the Ohio State players. So
Hmm.
tell me what you think about Travion Henderson, Judkins. If you, just based on what you're saying, if you had to pick and you were picking them, they'll probably fall in the second round at this point. If you're at pick 44 and you got to choose between Judkins and Henderson, who would you take and why?
I'm taking Henderson all day. Henderson all day, dog. I've been on the Henderson train for a long time. I'm out here in all, Columbus, right down the street from Ohio State. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? I know the people. I know a lot of people who deal with Ohio State. And I just feel like Dallas needs explosiveness. You know, I, Judkins, he's okay. When I see Judkins, I see a power runner. I see a physical runner. That's great. I like that. But I also see a running back that's contingent on the line. If your
Mm-hmm.
line is not that good, I don't feel like a Judkins is that good. I feel like he doesn't have a lot of wiggle, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you need to have a little bit more wiggle in the NFL because they'll stack those line of scrimmage and that can stop you. You got to be able to have something outside of that, and I feel like we need a home run hitter.
Yeah.
Okay, and the things I like about Henderson, you've seen the pass blocking. They always talk about running backs coming into the NFL. One of the reasons why you will not get on the field is if you cannot pass block. If you cannot pass block, you will not be on the field. You will be sitting the bench because you got to protect your quarterback and protect
Yeah.
pass protection, third downs, things of that nature. And when you look at Henderson, if you already got guys like Sanders and already Williams, I don't know how that folds out, but you have a guy that's probably going to see a lot of third downs. So if you see a lot of third downs, you're going to be in pass blocking. So that's a plus for him. Also, he can catch out the backfield. We've seen it in the spring game. He's very good in the spring game. Well, what does Dallas need? We need more guys that can really make some plays in the spring game because when we get the spring game going, it really gets the rhythm of our offense going. And to me, Dak is a rhythm quarterback. When Dak gets really in rhythm, he's really cooking. So the screen game really opens up the game, in my opinion. We need a back like that. And he's a home run guy. We've seen it time and time again. When he gets on that outside, he can home run hit. Now, the thing I like about as well, he's not a bell cow back. That's what Judkins more is. But I want
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's a home run hitter. I feel like Miles Sanders. I'm not down on Miles Sanders like a lot of people are. I'm not pumping him up thinking he's the world's best thing. But I still think he's an adequate back. He doesn't have a lot of mileage. And I think if you add a person like Henderson, it elevates a Sanders. You get what I'm saying? it
Yeah.
elevates the other running backs because of what he brings to the table. So that's why I'm more on Henderson. I'm running to the table. If he's there, if that's how we drafting it, I'm running to the table because they need explosive. The one downside with him, we've all heard it, is the injuries. That we've seen the injuries, but I've seen last year he was healthy, and he's also healthy when he can be more of the dual guy. When he's the man, I see more injuries coming. When he's more of a guy that can share and carries, I feel like that's when you keep him healthy and keep his explosive going. And we need people that can get out that backfield. That we just talked about. Dak need weapons, right? Well, he need
Mm-hmm.
explosiveness out the backfield, and that's what Henderson brings.
So I'm gonna take you back to the Ohio State Texas game, and so my uncle's grandson is Colin Simmons, so he's our cousin,
Mm-hmm.
plays for Texas, number 11, and
Mm-hmm.
so
A
Henderson won
dog.
the game right before halftime. They spread the defense out, and Henderson caught that screen pass or that hitch out the backfield,
Right before halftime.
went what 80
Mm-hmm.
some yards, and
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
nobody was close. I do want to get your input as well. We're hearing a lot of talk about Ibuka. Some people are saying 12 is too high. Where are you at on Ibuka?
I think 12 is too high too because he's a secondary receiver. I said that to a person. I feel like he's a CD Lamb clone, and that's not a diss or anything. But I already got a
Hmm.
CD. I want somebody who's explosive. I don't need two CDs. I need somebody who's different than CD. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Dallas haven't had explosive. You know, that's what I need to see. Dallas needs speed. Dallas needs something that really can open the doors up for CD and the underneath, and where the other players can manipulate. They got other guys that can really do comebacks. Do shallow crosses. We have those type of guys. What we don't have is somebody who can really threaten that defense to where, oh, we got to put this safety over the top and start rolling coverages because this dude can really beat us deep. Okay, now the game becomes easier for CD Lamb. You get what I'm saying? So
So you so
that's
you like
where
so
I'm
you like
I'm at.
so you like Golden type of receiver, like Golden.
I'm gonna say I like going for the fact that if you hear a lot of people, I think Dan Brugler, if I'm saying his name right, when
Dane
he was
Brooks.
talking about Brian Thomas, Dan Brugler. So when he was talking about with Brian Thomas, right, he was like,
Mm-hmm.
if Brian Thomas was in this draft, them other dudes would be knocked down. I believe that. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So the receiver crop ain't great. So I have to look at Matthew Golden is going to get overdrafted, in my opinion. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if there were other top receivers, he would not be this high. But if we're going that route,
Hmm.
I know that 6'4", 220 is cool. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But is they gonna be scared of a McMillan because he not killing you deep? He gonna body you. You feel me? He gonna catch
Yeah.
you. But is he gonna scare you deep? Is he gonna roll that coverage where it's like, okay, we gotta get out. We don't have that juice guy. So that's
Yeah.
the reason why I would lean more that way because we need guys that have juice that can really put the fear in defenses so it can really, once again, make the game easier. If you add a Henderson and let's say you added a Golden, then you got a dog defensive tackle. I don't trip on that because I got explosive on the offense now. I added that front on the defense because that's what you need to do with that 1-0 tech. That's where I'm leaning. But as far as that Buka, I'm not doing that at 12 because he's always been a secondary receiver. Look at
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah Smith. He came in on the scene, and what did Buka do? He slid right to the second. No
Yeah.
problem. I can't spend 12 on that. You feel me?
Right.
And look what the other receivers he's already played with. He slid to the second. There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that. But I can get that later.
Yeah, no, at 12, I'm thinking, see, now Ted McMillan, to me, if I'm a defense coordinator and I gotta see Ted and CD, I'm terrified of that. Now I'm terrified of that because Ted is like he is like you said, he is like a CD clone to me. He's like, he can body you, but he just when he get the ball, it's like when I say clone, I mean like when he get the ball, he can go. You need to get him down because if he get the ball any moment, he can take it 30, 40 yards. I think that about Ted.
Hmm.
I think that he's just a wildcat. He catch the ball and he can just go. But Igbuka, you know, I like Igbuka too. I ain't gonna lie. I just wouldn't take him at 12.
You like him at 12?
No, no, no. I don't like him at 12. I don't like
Okay.
him at 12. If I had to take it, if I had to, if I got washed out, and nobody else was there to pick, which is highly unlikely. But I mean, if Igbuka is on my team and I spent the first round pick on him at 12, I wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't be just like, I wouldn't say the draft is ruined. I would just I would be okay with that. But he would be like my fourth or fifth choice there.
Mm.
I wouldn't be okay. I wouldn't take him over Ted. I wouldn't take him over. Really, to be honest, I wouldn't.
Golden.
Well, him to me, I would take him over Golden.
And you like Luther Burden.
I would.
Or
I would. Yeah, I like Luther Burton. You know, so Igbuka is my third receiver, and then Golden is my
So
fourth.
I want to ask him about Tylee Williams, but take some
Oh yeah,
time to kind of shout out some people that joined and just shout them out right quick on
yeah.
the comments there.
I need to shout out Lou. I want to shout out Tony, my cousin Simone. I see Bubba's in the building. So shout out to everybody that's tuning in, and we appreciate y'all. Y'all make sure y'all
Like, and subscribe.
I make sure y'all like and subscribe. And I'm gonna put Big Game James channel
Yeah.
on the show too. So I mean on the comment screen so y'all can see it, so y'all can follow our big bro.
Yeah, follow Big Game James. I love to follow him on Twitter and watch his content all the time. So he's one of the people that we've been following for a long time. Just really kind of admire the kind of work that he does. So Big Game James, talk to us about Tyleek Williams because he could be there in the third round. I'm thinking.
see, that's I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he might be gone. I just
Yeah,
He
I
really
might
feel
be
think
like
gone.
so.
he's not
Yeah,
gonna last. Yeah, I just feel like
So you
the
got to get him in the
pedigree.
second.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you would have to get him in the second. I feel like his pedigree, them winning the national championship, there's a big buzz about Ohio State right now as far as the draft. So I feel like there's just too many teams that just not gonna bypass him 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I just don't see that.
And then he is like one of the top of his position. I can't think of that many more defensive tackles, right? That are like better than him. I
So
can
who do
let me
you have? Who are your defensive tackles that you like? Big Games. Tyleek
the,
Williams.
the Michigan guys.
I like I'm beginning to like him just because he's more the space eater. I like the cat from Oregon. That was it Derek Harmon?
Yeah,
Is
Derek
Yeah.
that his
Harmon.
name?
Mm-hmm.
I like him. I like Nolan, but I like Harmon because he's bigger and he can really stop that run game and he can pass rush. And he got a
And
little nasty freak to
Now
and
him.
are they
Oregon.
more like one techniques? The guys that you like.
I
Mhm,
think I think where Harmon, he's more of a tweener. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? The more the
Mm-hmm.
guys that I would really want to say I would want to get would be the Williams. It would be I like Alfred Collins, and I really see the reason why I'm saying Collins because he's already been on a visit. They talked to him at the combine, and he's
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
already been on a 30 visit. That's telling me they like him. They like the defensive tech. So, and not also telling me the way Texas kind of their defensive linemen I can see him third round. You feel me? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm saying Tyleek Williams, they would have to go second round for him. And I would wonder who would they get in the first round because I don't know if they got let's say a receiver first round, right?
Mhm.
I don't know they would do defensive tackle second round. I feel like maybe they would go somewhere else and try to slide that defensive tackle third round because they're thinking Collins could be there, especially if nobody's picked him. Y'all get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's why I feel like they wouldn't get him. Although I like Williams more than Collins, even though he's a little bit the length as far as the arms. But I just feel like as a good defensive line coach and Larry Johnson down there, and he really gets some guys going. And he's going to eventually give you where he can stuff the run and get upfield. Collins, I like him, but he a little slow out the breaks. The motivation sometimes I don't see it where I see more of the motivation with Williams. And I just feel like the Ohio State players, they go into the NFL, they're prepared. They play well. You when
Yeah.
you come from Ohio State, they produce in the NFL. They are when you go that's why kids go there because they know I'm going to have a real good potential to go to NFL and have a long career. When you look at a lot of Ohio State players that get drafted, they're not the 1, 2, they're not the 4 years and then flash out. They continue to play because the way they're coached. And I just feel like Tyleek Williams will bring a stout part of the run game because he's very stout in the run game. And I feel like he can get pass rushing ability. And we need somebody to really help out Mozzie because, like I've been saying before, I don't think he's the starter. I feel like he's more of a rotational guy. I mean, we can always talk first round. That's what he was drafted, but that don't mean he wasn't overdrafted. I feel like we need better players to really make him play better. But I feel
Yeah.
like he'll be better rotational than starter.
So
Yeah.
where did you have Mozzie and Schoon when you were reviewing when you were looking at the draft
They weren't in
and
no first round.
In
Wasn't no first
23,
round.
so in
No,
23,
wasn't no first
we
round.
we looked at the draft in 23. We didn't have Schoon in our top 100. So that's the thing that I'm kind of concerned about with this draft. A big game is I just want them to just take good players that fall to them. Don't try to be creative and reach. And this Ohio State thing, the Eagles got this thing going with Georgia. Cowboys need to set up a pipeline with Ohio State.
Instead of Michigan.
They really do.
I like Ransom too, the safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
and
mean,
even Cody Simon, the linebacker, Cody Simon's
yeah,
a good player. I mean, Jake Sawyer, if you got him later, like a third or fourth rounder, he will be a good player for you. You get what I'm saying? Like these players are going to be good for you. Like they will be players that are going to bring a good work ethic. They're going to
yeah.
bring a good ability because they're playing with the best of the best. They're going to be well coached. A lot of these guys are leaders. You know what I mean? So I totally agree. You need to start that pipeline. You need to send them coaches down there because they're constantly. I'm out here. I can see the I can constantly every day read the recruiting thing of what they're doing
Hmm.
out here, who they're recruiting, what areas they're recruiting, the local recruits. They got this 11 Buckeyes out here. It's a real thorough breakdown of the players that they recruit, and they're recruiting from everywhere, from every state. They're coming from every state, and they're coming to Ohio State. And you see, when you playing at Ohio State, you're going to the NFL. We seen just Cardell Jones. Cardell Jones was a quarterback, had no time, no time. He comes into these playoffs, plays very good, and then he gets drafted by the Buffalo Bills.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spotlight is on them, and they also run a 4-2-5 too. If that's something that the Cowboys are looking at, like if
Yeah.
Eberflus scheme is gonna be anything to.
And I
Yeah.
think Ohio State and Texas, they play. I think Texas is playing
First
there
game of the year
first game. Yeah. So
at
that's
Ohio
gonna be
State.
Yeah.
it's gonna be, and I actually think Texas could have beat them. And Sark got down there on the goal line on that last drive. I don't know what he was doing there, but yeah, we're Texas guys, so we pulling for Texas and pull for
Hmm.
all of the Texas team. Like we was pulling for the University of Houston the other night when they blew that game. But yeah, I think a lot of the Ohio State players, the Cowboys had this thing they were doing with Boise State. I don't know why someone told them, but Boise State
No,
was a good place,
I
Kellen
remember
Moore,
that. Oh
the
my
good
God.
players. But
They were getting
Demarcus
every player
Lawrence.
from Boise State,
yeah,
right? I
Hmm.
mean, they got a lot of Boise State players. That's why I feel like they really was looking at Genty, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I get
hmm
he's a great player. I get it. I ain't hating, you know what I'm saying? But to me, I just feel like first round running back, I'm not doing that. Like I can get some dogs in them second, third rounds and really address other things because you're paying that money to a running back at 12. Like that means he's automatically has to be the guy. And I
Yeah.
don't care. I look, he got a lot of mileage on him, and I've already mentioned that on Twitter numerous times that he's got like 372 carries. Like, and you
yeah,
Hmm.
don't think if they drafted him at 12, they're not going to run the ball. He's really going to get the ball. So I just feel like you know what, you can get a dog. You don't have to get it in that first round with the running back. There's too many. You can get
Hmm.
it's been shown time and time again. You can get really good players second round on good players that can be players that can stay with you a long time. You really need to
Hmm.
address that receiver position. You need
Hmm.
CD, somebody opposite of CD, and then you really need to attack defense. I'll tell you right now, if they went running back, receiver, and then doing defense the whole way, I'm cool.
See, now this is my last thing I wanted to ask you. Now, because I had watched one of your videos where you were talking about if Overshawn and Sam Williams come back, the kind of year that they can have, and then Overshawn, like I think like right after you post that video or right before, I was listening to the fan and like they was talking about how Overshawn was like saying that he gonna be ready to go. He was saying that he think he gonna be ready to go like the first like at the beginning of the season, but of course
I
you
don't
know,
see that. Yeah,
that's what he said. Now,
Wow, I
of
don't know
course,
how
the
that can
coaches
happen.
and
That'd
them
be a
gonna push him
miracle.
back. Right. The
Right,
coaches
right.
and all them. But he said that he was prepared and all of this. But my question was, how is Eberflus gonna like? I'm worried that like it's gonna be times where like our best players are not gonna be on the field. How can we have Micah on the field with Sam Williams, with Nealon, and with Dante Fowler at the same time? That's just to me they all play the same position. So it's just like how do we run a 4-2-5 or whatever we run and get them on the field at the same time because they play the same position? So how does that happen?
I mean, that's where you got to get creative, dog. That's why you get paid that big bucks in the NFL. You got to get creative. You can make it work. Somebody's gonna have to sit the bench, and I feel like that's where open competition. That's why they have training camp. I think
Yeah,
that's where you're gonna really establish who's gonna be your guys, who's gonna be starters, and who's gonna be your rotation guys. So Williams said he's been chopping at the bit. This is what I think his last year on his deal. He's got to try to get
Yeah,
a contract. So you're probably gonna get the best from Sam Williams, in my opinion, right? And then you look at Marshawn Nealon. It's his second year. I think he's going to take a second year leap. That's a good problem to have. Dante Fowler. He's been a rotational player here. Maybe he gets to start it now because he's a veteran. We'll see, but that's why they have competition. So
yeah,
I feel like it's a good problem to have. That's not a bad problem to have. That's a great problem to have where you can have this many guys can be able to do different things. But I think with Demarion Overshown, he adds a different element because he can play the linebacker. He can be a blitzing linebacker for you. He can drop in coverage. I think the biggest thing is we need to see when he comes back because the label was on him about injuries when he was coming out of Texas. It was
yeah,
a small label, but there was a small label with him coming out of college with the injuries, and now
mm-hmm,
it's showing himself. So I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm more cautious now with him. I'm not more
yeah,
gun ho with him like I was in the beginning,
yeah,
yeah.
because you
You,
feel
you,
me?
you
He's like Deshaun Lee now. He's like, I
yeah,
can't get excited about you no more because I feel like you're an injury waiting to happen. And I don't want to
mhm,
feel like that about him, but I just do. So
yeah.
it's hard for me to really
It's
gauge
reality.
him now
Yeah,
because of the injuries. And you had two major knee injuries.
yeah,
That's your athleticism is one of the things that you really rely on. I wonder, and I know his will is crazy, but you can have
yeah,
all the will you want, but the body has to respond. So I think that's what I'm looking at. And please don't rush back. Take your time, dog, because you want to
yeah.
have a longer career. You have another knee injury. I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah,
RG3 rushed back like that, and it changed his entire career. And
mm-hmm,
so I want to ask you one other question, and then we're gonna just ask you about the draft, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap. We kind of know you're ahead of us 1 hour. We don't want to hold you on too long. And again, we appreciate you joining us and taking the
Appreciate
time
you.
out, spend some time with us. Kenneth Murray, what do you think? I was really high on him coming out of OU. I wanted the Cowboys to draft him, but they were still in love with LVE at the time. So, what's your evaluation from him? He's a Houston guy. What do you think he's going to bring to the table, and what does he have left?
I think he's going to bring athleticism to the table, one. And I think that's what the linebacker position needs for Dallas. They need more athleticism, more guys that can really get upfield. I think that's what he brings to the table because I think he had a career high in sacks this past year with Tennessee. So we
Hmm.
need linebackers that can really get up the field. I think the biggest problem with him, in my opinion, if you watch him even from college, is his instinct. Sometimes, he flows the wrong way, gets washed out by the offensive line, then you see the cutback and lanes are open. So I think the discipline, the more instincts has to be there. But they've already said Eberflus is the linebacker, whisper Rice, so per se. So I feel like that's a good marriage. And if anybody can really bring the best out of him, I feel like he can. But I feel like his upside as far as the athleticism, and being able to attack the quarterback, being able to be physical in the run game because we've needed that, right? Well, that's one of the
Yeah,
problems. Our linebackers have not been physical in the run game, and I feel like he does bring physicality to that along with his athleticism, and I think that's what Dallas sorely needs. So I'm excited about him. A lot of people, be in these streets, I don't just be listening with this because somebody else said they don't like him, that I'm all of
mm-hmm,
a sudden gonna change my opinion, not like a player, just because they yelling aloud in the street and supposed to be these who guys out there. I ain't
yeah,
listening to that. I feel like he's gonna be a good he had a career high over in Tennessee. And hey, I think he can have a good career here in Dallas. And as long as he continue, and I think he said, my whole family Cowboys. I'm Cowboys. I've been Dallas all my life, and
mm-hmm,
he embraces. I want to run this deep. He's embracing the role, and I think that's what I get excited about more than anything else. When you come over here and embrace it and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to establish, and I have ability, and he's young. I'll go ahead and count that as upside, and I'll take the good for that more than the bad. What these people are saying out there.
yeah.
So, Jules, you got one more for him before we talk about his draft picks and close out?
Uh, really, that's
You
what
want to
that.
get any content creation advice from Big Game James?
Yeah, what's your advice on it? What yeah, what's your content creating advice? What do you think we should do based off what you've seen so far? What can we
Things we
improve?
shouldn't do.
Yeah,
Uh, I
Don't start
mean,
fights
bro,
with
let me
people.
tell you
Don't
what you
start
can
fights
do.
with people. Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
mean, I'll tell you number one. I will tell you the number one. When I first got into this, my mother actually told me this. She was like, "Don't argue with nobody. Don't fight with nobody on the internet. You won't win."
yeah,
And when I first got into this, I wasn't saying I was an arguer with people on the internet, but I definitely, if I heard somebody say stuff, I would definitely jump in there and try to challenge, and then I'll definitely gonna do some back and forth with you. You feel me? But I just felt like, okay, that's really not where it's at. Like that is you can engage, but just keep it just kind of
yeah,
face
yeah,
value with that. Don't get engaged with people. Because I feel like people just really want to get a rise out of you, and just really want to. I don't know, just people, a
trolling.
lot of disrespectful people. Yeah, there's a lot of disrespectful people out there. So I feel like one thing is stay away from arguing with people on the internet. Stay away from, and really understand who you really deal with. And because I only deal with certain people on Twitter,
Yeah,
and I really only engage with certain people on Twitter because those are people I respect.
yeah,
I might troll people, but they know I'm playing fun games with them. But most people I talk to, like your dad, I engage with him because after he would jump in the comments, I would listen to what he was saying. I'm like, okay, that do make sense. You feel me? Like, okay, he's saying a lot of things I'm feeling. You feel
yeah,
me? So when he talking in my Twitter, I'm gonna be able to jump in there and have good engagement. And it ain't gonna be no goofiness. It's gonna be real talk. We're gonna have real Cowboys talk. It ain't gonna be no goofiness going along with it, and then everything's good. So I would say that's the biggest thing. And then I mean, just be true to who you are. Like, don't try to be something you ain't. Don't try to. If you see other people doing it a certain way, you feel like you gotta change to be that way. Don't do that, in my opinion.
yeah,
Keep it real who you are. Because I mean, I just feel like everybody ain't gonna be a star in this. That's just the truth. Like,
yeah,
but as long as you got people listening and engaging, and you feel like I don't know. I just feel like you got your real audience. I think that's all that matters. Like, I don't care about them views like that. When I got my real people I know been down with me forever, those are my best conversations because I know
yeah,
I'm having real conversations with real people, and that's all that matters to me. Not all that extra stuff. Like that's
yeah,
just important to me. A lot of other people care about that stuff. A lot of other people want to be seen, want to be known, and that matters to them. That don't matter to me. So it's just I say just be true to yourself. What are you really feeling in your heart? If you
yeah,
really feel like this is the way I want to do it, and that's the way you should really go about it. Don't be influenced because the outside influences are, oh, they're doing it this way. And look at, oh, they're getting this and they're getting that. But if that's not really who you are and you try to go that route, I don't think it'll ever succeed. So I just
yeah.
feel like just always being true to yourself. And I feel like doors will automatically open for you.
Understood. So understood, and I appreciate that advice. We're gonna adhere to that for real, for real. So,
yep.
what's your perfect draft scenario? What's your perfect draft scenario?
So we're gonna make you
I've already had my perfect draft scenario.
Will McClay. So you in charge of the draft. You're gonna pick at 12 and 44. Who you taking at 12 and who you taking at 44?
Okay, so I've been fighting back and forth with this Ted McMillan and Matthew Gold thing. I've been fighting. And if we're staying at 12, I've been fighting. I
Yeah.
don't know. One day I wake up one person, one day I wake up another person. Like for real, it's that serious in my head. Like, damn, but what this
That's why.
genius.
That's why I said that
Math,
earlier. I was like, you like gold, and
yeah,
you like gold.
and this is why. This is why, y'all. Because if you watch his career, and y'all Houston guys, if you watch his career, he came in a dog at Houston. It wasn't like he came in and he came in getting like 7 touchdowns his first year. Like he
Mhm.
came in and
And
he's
I don't even
get
know he
I
played
feel
for
like
Houston
neither
because
did
he,
I.
he he
Me neither.
transferred.
And
He did.
right, and I feel like he wanted better competition. Now, I'm not saying it was lower level, but I just feel like he wanted to be up there with the best. And
Hmm.
whenever he played against the best, he showed up. And
Yeah,
Yep.
he ain't no tiny guy. You feel me? He ain't no little dude. And I just feel like he's an element that Dallas needs. We need somebody who can really get upfield and really scare defenses and really challenge people. And I think McMillan can do that in certain ways, but we need speed. We ain't had speed in a very long time. And I'm not hyping no Jonathan Mingo, but he is a taller, big body receiver. I'm not hyping him. But if we're looking at how the Cowboys think, now I ain't thinking now listen, you said go how Will McClay and the Cowboys think, right? Well, they
Hmm.
like Mingo.
They do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's they like him.
They're gonna try
And
to
that
push
can
him out
sway
there.
them. That's what I'm saying. They could sway him from taking McMillan because we got a big body, tall, big body receiver we spent a fourth round with. So
Yep.
we don't gotta get McMillan. Let's go get the fat. So that's what I'm thinking in the brain, y'all. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking McClay, that's what I'm feeling like. That's a speed guy. And then the second pick, this is where I'm confused. Because if I'm doing Will McClay, I'm gonna
Hmm.
say they would do a running back, especially if Travion Henderson is there. Don't do Judkins, Will McClay. Don't do that. Please don't. You
Mm.
get Judkins, I'm be mad at you. I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
mad. I will talk
Hmm.
on Twitter very madly. So I'm gonna go ahead and do Golden at 12 and 44 Henderson if they are both there. Thinking the Will McClay mind, because I think you already heard them saying CD Stephen Jones
Mingo.
saying there's a lot of good backs in this draft.
Hmm.
There's a lot of good backs in this draft. So I feel like that's where they can lean. And I heard him say we need an explosive number two. When he says explosive, I don't know if he's talking about a McMillan more than a GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. And what I've been saying is, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but I really think if the Cowboys have a good draft and they make picks like you're talking about there, 1 and 2, I really think we can be right there if we just again just keep everybody healthy. If CD, Dak, Michael Parsons, our rookies come in. If they play healthy 17 games, I absolutely think we can be right there with the Commanders, right there, pretty close as we can get to the Eagles. And then at that point, you just let the chips fall. But yeah, if we just have good health and have a good draft, don't overreach. Don't try to outthink the room.
Hmm.
Just pick let's pick good players, let them fall to you and pick them right there. But yeah, if we get Golden and come back with Henderson and then throw in your one technique in the third round if we can get one. I think that'll be a terrific draft. So man, we do appreciate you joining us. We coming up on an hour and Julian, you got any final words for Big Game James?
No, man, we just appreciate you coming on with us, man. Like I said, we've been following you for years, and it's an honor to be on with you. So we appreciate that. And you're gonna see, I'm gonna start getting on. I'm gonna start commenting on your channels and on your live. I'm gonna get on Twitter too, so you'll see me on Twitter.
Yeah, I like when you and Mike chap it up. I always listen to Burgers and Blitzes. So all of the people that's tuned in to our show, listen
Hmm.
to Big Game James on Burgers and Blitzes with Mike. I just like the way you guys had a format today. It looked like Mike was outside walking. Was he at home?
Yeah, he when we've been doing these shows, I told him he did it on accident one day where he was outside. It was
Yeah,
really nice out there. So
yeah.
I was
And I
like,
think
man,
is he in
bring
Texas?
yeah, he's in Texas.
Yeah, because it's real windy today, and I could tell he
Yeah,
was outside because I've
yeah.
been outside most of the day, and I had to. My grandson has a
It kept on
basketball
blowing. It
goal.
kept on blowing his phone.
Yeah, so you could tell, but it's been a windy day in Texas, so we trying to just batten everything down. So man, again, we appreciate it, and we're gonna do it again,
Yeah.
and we'll chat with you and try to set up another show with you. And
Hmm.
again, we appreciate you joining, and then I'll follow up with you offline. So we got a connection going, and we'll keep that going and do something else with you. We appreciate it.
For
Well,
sure.
I can tell you right now, before I get off here, like, I mean, I really appreciate the respect. Like, I mean, I'm really at loss of words because it lets me know there's real people out there, really respect, real hard grind.
Hmm.
In my opinion, doing it the right way, didn't cut no corners. You feel me? Didn't try to ever do it no other kind of way, but the right way. Try to go hard, and honestly, really open doors for a lot of other individuals, including yourself. Not like I feel like I'm somebody out there, but feel like I did pave a way to really open up doors so a lot of other people can really come in and really have a voice, and we could really be respected in the street. Because when we first came in, we was not respected in these streets. They did not look at us like anything, and I took a real slight to that. You can ask my girl. I took a very I took a slight to that, like, because when we got in it, they wasn't looking at us like we was anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that personal, and I really wanted to go out there and open up doors and show everybody we know football too. It ain't just
Yep.
you guys that's talking behind these radio stations. It ain't just you guys on ESPN and Fox and Sport Network. There's a lot of
Hmm.
other people out here that play sports, coach, went hard in the game, and we have a voice too. And I think that's the main thing I want to do was open up doors for everybody else. And look what's happened. And
Yep.
I really like how that's happened, and I really respect that. And that's the main thing I always want to do, whether it's for the athletes or for anybody coming behind me, was open up doors so we could continue to have a voice and have a powerful voice. And I feel like that is starting to finally happen. It took a while, but we have a voice. These guys actually listen to us. These players listen to us. They're retweeting us like it's no other before. You would never see a player retweet a person who was like on YouTube or anything like that, but they are retweeting us. They are listening to us in the media because you can tell and see. I'm not saying we're who, dude. They're not sitting there in the draft room because 17 YouTubers said. I'm not saying that, but we do
Mm-hmm.
honestly have a real voice to where they're actually on Twitter listening to what we say, and they are
They are.
okay. A lot of people are saying that, and so it's real. They are listening to what we're saying from the very up to the very top now. And I think that's what we wanted to accomplish. And I feel like that's what I want to accomplish. And I feel like sitting back now in 2025, seeing that happen is a good thing. And we need to continue to go hard and let our voice be known.
Already.
Yep. And we're supposed to do something with Boss later this week. So we're trying to hook that up. So shout out to Boss as
Shout out
well.
to
Boss
boss.
Cowboy. He's really been supportive and really been just somebody that in the game that we respect. So again, man, we appreciate
That's
it.
all
We're
it's
gonna
real.
let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. And then I'll follow up with you offline, big game.
All right. I
All right.
appreciate you, dog.
All
Okay.
right.
All
Peace,
right.
bro.
Thank you.